Welcome back, everyone. This is GTA Failer. In our last video, we tackled the final Vercetti mission. That one was called Copland. This is the first of roughly 20 videos in a row where we are going to be purchasing assets and doing asset missions, starting with the Pole Position Club. 30,000 bucks. Listen to the jingle. Notice that it's the same exact jingle as when you purchase one of the properties, like one of the apartment buildings or one of the houses. So we'll talk all about assets in this video in general, but in the top left, it says the Vercetti outfit has been delivered to Collar and Cuffs on Ocean Beach, and that is going to be our outfit for the next 6 episodes or so. Oh, Tommy is looking good, and he is ready for his time in the strip club at 5 in the afternoon. Let's get this done. Now, Vice City is definitely not a game for kids, and I hope I don't have any kid viewers on my series here, but if you are a kid viewer, maybe skip this one and check in the next video. We'll meet over at the boatyard, and things will be a whole lot less inappropriate than this video. So, welcome to the Pole Position Club. I'm just going to give a quick look around. We're not going to do a detailed walkthrough here because I already did a detailed walkthrough in my walking tour video on Ocean Beach, specifically number 3 out of 5. So I'll just quickly walk and show you each of the folks in here. They're all exactly the same folks every time you come into this building. And the music really inspired me to hop up on the stage here. So Tommy is going to boogie just a little bit here for a moment. Surely you came to this episode expecting some hot dancing action, so hopefully you already feel like you got your money's worth. Notice that this door right here is closed. It will be open later on in this video. Nothing going on in this empty room right here. But the action, the asset mission, is in this room here, which looks empty. But if you sit down, if you go in, you sit and you are treated to some hot dancing action. Probably not as good as the dancing that Tommy just engaged in, but still pretty good. She is doing her best. So while we let this stripper do her thing, let's go ahead and read from the wiki, first starting at the Pole Position Club. The Pole Position Club is the only strip club in the city accessible to the player. The club is first introduced during the party when the player escorts Mercedes Cortez to the club. Following Shakedown, that was the Tommy mission where we broke all the glass windows in the mall, the club may be purchased by the player for $30,000 or, in the mobile version, $15,000, becoming one of their business assets. Surprisingly, what you're watching right now is getting us closer to that 100% completion in the game, because watching the stripper for a certain amount of time is required in order to get 100%. So it's not actually a certain amount of time, it's actually a certain amount of money that you need to spend in order to pass this mission and get credit towards the 100%. And I've seen some misinformation online about what exactly you need to do in order to pass this mission and claim this asset. So it's all written correctly here in the wiki. I'm just going to read from the wiki. In addition to open stages, the Pole Position Club offers backroom dances by a stripper, which the player may pay by the minute. $5 for every 5 game minutes, which takes 5 seconds in real time. By spending a total of $300 on the dances, the player will complete the club's asset mission, allowing the club to earn the player up to $4,000 a day. I'll say it again, in order to pass this asset mission, you need to spend $300 in total. You don't need to do it all in one shot. You can go in and then come out a minute later and then go back in at another time. Just needs to be $300 cumulatively on dances. So just working through the math here, $5 takes 5 seconds in real time, so $1 per second on average. And so if you want to spend $300, that means sitting here for 300 seconds, and 300 seconds is 5 minutes. So said another way, you can pass this mission by sitting down here for 5 minutes, which will spend $300. Now, I learned while I was recording footage for this mission that the room does not kick you out when you successfully get to that $300. In fact, it doesn't do anything. You can stay in here until the cows come home. And only when you leave after spending at least $300 will the game tell you that you have passed the asset mission and you can start collecting money right outside the front. Now, when I sat down in this room for the dance, the last four digits of my money up in the top right corner represented $5,236. $5,236. So subtracting the $300 I needed to spend on this dance in order to pass the asset, I could get up and leave when I get to $4,936. Again, that's 5 minutes in real time. But I thought the game was going to kick me out when I got to the magic number, and I actually wasn't sitting at my computer while I was recording footage for this. I was stretching and just listening to the sound of the music playing in the background. And so I, was stretching, and it was like, this is clearly more than 5 minutes. What's happening here? And then at some point I got out, only when I got down to $4,781, which is about $150 more than I needed to spend. So about 150 seconds extra, 2.5 minutes of extra dancing. But again, I know that's what you came for this video for, so enjoy. So the reason that I got confused and I thought that the game just kicks you out once you've passed the asset mission after spending $300 is that, surprisingly, there is a speed strat for this mission. Yeah, I'll show it to you right here, but basically you need to go into the room, and as soon as you go into the room, you spend $5. Now you could wait in the room for another 5 seconds and then you'll spend your next $5, or you could exit the room immediately and then re-enter the room immediately, spending another $5. And it turns out that's quicker than just waiting the 5 seconds. It takes about 3 seconds to exit the room and then re-enter the room. So instead of spending $5 every 5 seconds by just sitting here like we are for most of this video, you could spend $5 every 3 seconds or so, and therefore save about 2 minutes of time. But I'm not going to show you the speed strat for all that long. It's quite annoying to watch. But anyway, it saves about 2 minutes, so that's what you do if you're speedrunning the game and trying to get this 100%. So coming back to whether or not the game kicks you out after you've spent $300, it does not. It waits for you to have spent at least $300, and then when you exit the room on your own accord, it will tell you, hey, congratulations, you've passed the asset mission. And I was confused by this because when you do the speedrun strat, you spend $5, you leave the room. You spend another $5, you immediately leave the room. And you keep doing that until you have spent a grand total of $300. And then when you leave the room after spending that $300, the game tells you, hey, congratulations, you've passed this mission. But it doesn't kick you out. I kind of assumed that it kicked you out, but it doesn't. It was just because I was leaving the room every 3 seconds. And so as soon as I spent 300, I would then 3 seconds later know that I had spent 300. So that's why we end up spending about an extra 2.5 minutes watching this fine dancer shake her thing. Coming back to the wiki, there are 4 songs that can be heard playing inside the club. Obsession by Animotion, which is featured on Wave 103. All Night Long by the Mary Jane Girls, featured on Fever 105. That's the one that Tommy was shaking his booty to earlier in this video. Behind the Groove by Tina Marie, also featured on Fever 105. And then during the private striptease cutscene, this one is the only time you can hear More Bounce to the Ounce by Zapp and Roger. That song is featured on Wildstyle. Again, from the wiki now, there's a blue hell type glitch triggered when exiting the club on a motorcycle. I showed this off in that walking tour video. Again, it's Ocean Beach number 3 out of 5, so I won't read about it here. And it says in the 10th anniversary edition, there's curtains on the main stage that seem to be missing, and so you can see into Blue Hell but not access it. And the club's name, again, it's the Pole Position Club, is a term used in motorsports that describes the position at the front of the starting grid. If you're in the front at the beginning of the race, you are in pole position. But it's also a play on that phrase because pole dancers are featured here in the strip club. The black and white checkered racing flags on the club's sign outside are also likely a reference to motor racing. Now I'm going to read about assets from the wiki. An asset is a profitable business in the GTA series that can be bought or acquired by the player. After completion of an asset's missions, money generated by the asset can be collected by the player. Assets were first introduced here in Vice City. They also exist in San Andreas, Liberty City Stories, Vice City Stories, GTA 5, and GTA Online. The player can buy other assets after completing the mission Shakedown. Again, that's the one where you shatter all the glass in the mall. After the purchase of an asset, the player can save their progress there. You notice the save icon right outside of the pole position once we bought this asset, with the exception of Phil's place, which is technically an asset, but it's not owned by the player, it's owned by Phil, so there isn't a save icon at Phil's place after we've completed that asset. The asset will generate profit once all the missions for the related asset have been completed. In the case of pole position, there's exactly one mission. It's this one right here, spending $300. Purchasing all the assets in Vice City cost a grand total of $400,000. In the mobile version, the cost of each asset is halved, so that would be a total of $200,000. Since this is the only asset mission for pole position, it's time for me to rate this mission. I'll give it a 2 out of 10. I think it's our lowest rated mission so far. This is unsurprisingly not all that fun for me to play when I'm speedrunning the game. I mean, it is a break if you just sit here for 5 minutes, but like I mentioned, when I speedrun the game, I don't sit here for 5 minutes. I do that silly strategy of walking out and in for 3 minutes. So it's really not a break, and it's not entertaining, and it's not difficult. There's no challenge. It's just 3 minutes of holding the right-hand button and pushing shift every 3 seconds. All right, so I think we are about to step out. And then here we go. Pole position. Club will now generate revenue up to a maximum of $4,000 per day. Pick up your cash regularly. Awesome. Mission complete. Asset complete. It is done. So let me complain for just a moment here about this particular mission. Like the asset mission is not explained at all in the game. And how are you supposed to know that sitting in that room for 5 minutes is a mission? There's nothing anywhere in the game that tells you need to sit in that room. And there's nothing anywhere in the game that tells you have to spend $300. So how are you supposed to know? I went back in a couple of times just to show you a different answer. I was hoping that it would change every time I went back in, but it didn't. Yeah, so like it's just like the instructions are lacking here. How, like with a walkthrough, it's easy. With the wiki, it's easy. But if you're just playing the game on your own back in 2001 or 2002, like how are you supposed to, I guess 2002, but how are you supposed to know? All right, this door is open. Here is your treat, kids. Look away now for sure. I wasn't sure about whether or not to show that particular scene in any of my videos. It is quite a bit more revealing than the first stripper scene, but this is the true 100% plus, and that was the plus part right there. The stripper in this room is one of the twins mentioned in the game's manual. The other is a bartender in the Malibu Club after that asset is bought. And I misspoke before. I talked about the 4 songs that you could hear. More Bounce to the Ounce by Zapp and Roger is the song that we just heard, and it's only heard during that private cutscene. It's not heard in the other stripping room with the $300. So for the rest of this video, we're just going to head over to the next asset location because this asset, pole position asset, is done. And during this drive, I'll just talk a little bit more about the assets in general here in Vice City. So there are a grand total of 10 assets, and let me go ahead and read them to you in the order that they appear in the wiki. The Vercetti Estate, which we completed by passing the 3 Tommy missions already. The Boatyard, which is where we're headed to. Cherry Popper Ice Cream Factory. Pole Position Club. Kaufman Cabs. Sunshine Autos. Interglobal Studios. Printworks. Malibu Club. And Phil's Place. Again, 10 altogether. We have now completed 2 of the 10, the Vercetti Estate and the Pole Position Club. In order to unlock the final 2 story missions of the game, you have to do the Printwork assets. You have to do the Vercetti Estate missions, all 3 of them, plus any 5 other assets. Now, I complained about how the pole position asset mission was not explained, and in general, the asset system is not explained in this game. If you don't have walkthroughs or wikis or whatever, it can be very confusing as to how to proceed once you have done all of the story missions and you've got no more story mission giver icons on the map. English Ben made a video with his complaints about Vice City, and he had a whole section about the asset system. So I've linked that video in the description below. Check it out if you're interested. Go ahead and share your memories of the pole position club and that asset mission in the comments below. I gave it a 2 out of 10. What is your rating for it? Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you real soon.